Welcome and thank you for standing by. Currently, all participants are in the listen-only mode. Today's webinar is being recorded and the recording will be posted publicly. If you have any objections, you may disconnect at this time. Now I'd like to turn the call over to your host for today, Crystal Jimerson.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our webinar on Good Data Come in Small Geographies. I'm Crystal Jimerson, a training specialist here at the U.S. Census Bureau. I want to thank you for joining us today for the Topics, Tools, and Data to Use Strolling Through Census Bureau Data webinar series. These webinars are a great opportunity for you to learn from our experts about how to access the Census Bureau data tools and resources. If you wish to follow along, take a moment now to open an additional browser. You can register for any of the webinars by visiting census.gov/academy. Before I introduce today's speaker, let's go over a few important housekeeping rules. As mentioned earlier, this webinar is being recorded. For your convenience, it will be uploaded to our Census Academy site with all supplemental materials relating to the webinar within 30 business days. We welcome written questions during the webinar. Please submit your written questions using the Q&A panel, which is at the bottom center or the right side of your WebEx screen. Please take a moment to locate that now. Once you find the Q&A panel, make sure you choose All Panelists from the drop-down menu. This will ensure we see your question. Also, we ask that you do not include any personal or business identifiable information with your questions. We suggest keeping the chat panel open as we will provide key links and other resources throughout the webinar. Please keep in mind you won't be able to respond to the chat. That is for us to send out links and other resources related to the presentation. My colleagues will be monitoring the Q&A panel, and as time allows, we will answer your questions directly through the Q&A panel, or we will share your question with the presenter to respond to during the webinar. If we do not get to all of the questions with a response during the webinar, we will post the questions and responses with the webinar materials on the census.gov/academy site within 30 business days. As you know, we are in a virtual environment and sometimes technical difficulties might occur. If you are having issues, try a different browser such as Chrome or consider logging out and coming back into the session. If you are having audio issues, try selecting the computer audio or calling into the webinar via phone. Now I would like to introduce our speaker, David Kroeker. Thanks again for being here today. David, you may begin.
Okay, thank you so much, Crystal. So once again, my name is David Kroeker. It's right here on the screen. This is my email address. And today's presentation is called Good Data Come in Small Geographies. And we're going to be looking at blocks and block groups, tracks, and ZIGTAs, as we call them. I'm a data dissemination specialist, and let me just move on here. Sorry. Yeah, data dissemination specialist. I work in this group. My background actually, I've been at the Census Bureau for 28 years. My background used to be as a geographer in a regional office, and then about 10 years ago, I transitioned over to this. Previous to that, I actually worked at some cartographic agencies before that, and I was also a French instructor when I was much younger. So some of the things that I use when I'm doing my trainings, like here we have data gems or courses that we give or webinars, are sort of based on my having studied how to instruct language. And so I sort of incorporate those into the way I teach. So people in data dissemination and training, we have people all around the country, and we like to do things very individually. If you like, you have an agency or an organization and you want to contact us, we will give you some tailor designed instruction for your group or for yourself if you need that. It's a free service from the federal government. So once again, we have these data gems also in courses and webinars, and those are on our website. So today, what I'm going to do is go through some concepts, and it will take me quite a while to get through the concepts. I'd say at least 15 minutes. And then I'm going to transition away from the PowerPoint and go over to our data portal. And I'm going to go through 4 different examples of finding data. And I will also show you how to map the data on that website. And then finally, I will go over to a different site. It's the main site of the Census Bureau, and just show you how to, if you're especially a GIS person, find some of the geographic information that you need. So let's just launch right into this, and I'm going to give you some background information. Hopefully you can see this slide okay. Yeah. I do want to explain the difference between a 10-year census, so the last one was 2020, and what we call ACS, or the American Community Survey. So really briefly, the 10-year census or decennial census over here on the left of the screen is considered to be 100% data. Every address is touched upon in some aspect, and we are gathering the data, so we consider that 100%. We are concerned with how many people are living in the United States at a certain point in time, and that's April 1st. It could be 2010 or 2020 or 2030, just depending. And we are concentrating on the count, so the count of people and the count of housing units. So I just want you to know that we're counting housing units as well, whether people live in them or they don't, all right? So over here on the right is the American Community Survey, which is an ongoing survey. It is not once every 10 years. It is all the time, every month of every year. It is a sample. It is not 100%. We are considered more with how people live in the United States than with how many people are actually living in the United States. So we're asking a lot of deep questions, trying to get a picture of what's going on. And this will be a lot of what I instruct on today. This survey is based on a period in time. Have people, or has the person lived there for 2 months, okay? Or will they be living there for 2 months? And then then we say you're in scope, and we get the data. And so what kind of data is that? It's down here. We're looking for characteristics on income and poverty, education, and always housing. 1/4 of this survey is all about housing. So let's just move on. Sorry, I keep hitting the wrong button. And I just want to give you a little bit of information, I call the thresholds for ACS data. So let's look at this for ACS, not for that 2020 the 2020 or the decennial census, but ACS right here. The main thing you need to know is 65,000. So 65,000. What we mean by this is anything under 65,000 in population, you have to use 5-year data. It means that this is data that we have pulled in over 60 months, and we get the average, and we release it every year in December. And so that tends to be things like census tract, block groups, and counties and zip code tabulation areas, okay? Anything above 65,000 in population, which tends to be larger cities and counties, congressional districts, you can get what's called 1-year data. The population is large enough that you can get that data every year in September, and it's just the data, aggregated from the previous year. You also have the option of the 5-year data. So just keep in mind, we have 1-year data, 5-year data in ACS, and I'm just sort of do some morphing here, and I just want you to realize, here it is over here on the left, census tract, block group, zip code tabulation area, and then I'm sort of doing this and showing you the difference. So in general, the things that we're going to be looking at today, I would call small geographies, because you're going to have to get them using the 5-year data or the decennial data. There's not going to be that 1-year ACS data. So let's look at this. So the 5-year data over here for ACS, you can get the zip code data, right? You can get block group and tract, but you can't get the block data. That is too small in population. And so instead, you are going to be getting that from the decennial data. That's once every decade. And you can only get it like in 2010, 2020, that sort of thing. So you'll see as we go through, but I just want you to realize the block is the one thing you're going to have to retrieve from a 10-year census. So this is a hierarchy that I do give out in presentations. It's my own interpretation of the hierarchy that we have. It's sort of to make it simpler for you. So what this means is we at the Census Bureau tend to say, for example, a state nests within a nation, a county nests within the state, tract within the county, block group within the tract, and a block within the block group. The little asterisk means you can only get it during decennial. Anyway, if you're drilling down through our system, you have to drill down this way to get the data. So you start at the nation, you have to go to the state first, the county, and then the tract and the block group. If you're looking for something else here, for example, over here on the right, I have my cursor, places, you're going to drill from the nation to the state to the place. If over here on the left, if you're looking for county subdivision, you're going to drill down from nation to state to county subdivision. So I just like to point that out to people in this hierarchy. So these are the 4 types of geographies that we will be looking at today. And so notice this, that for the 3 main, the tract, the block group, and the block, you're going to drill down this central spine, right? And if you're looking for zip code tabulation area, that is actually from nation straight into zip code. Okay, and it's because zip code tabulations don't really nest within a state. You have some areas in the country where zip codes go across the state line. And so that's the way we view it at the Census Bureau. All right, so let's start with the census block. I drew this little picture. It's a map for you. These are streets that are in white. And let's talk about what a census block looks like. I've outlined one here in yellow for you. So the census block is the smallest geographic unit for which you can get census data. And once again, you can only get that 10-year census data for it. It's also the building block for everything else, okay? So we'd like to say you can get 100% data at decennial census, but nothing from the ACS for the block. And a block is sort of what we'd say something visible on the ground. You can more or less walk around it or drive around it. And it's usually things like streams and roads and railways and sometimes municipal boundaries, usually municipal boundaries and county boundaries that are surveyed. So that's sort of how we construct the block. Whoops, I went ahead. And they do change over time. Every 10 years, we have to analyze them and add to them or take away if need be. And so summary level for those who are GIS people, summary level 100 is for the block. So let me go on here, block group. So that is a subdivision of census tract. And so you can see it here in color. It's determined every 10 years. The block groups are done by housing unit count. We may go to participants, usually county government, and they figure out if they want to realign block groups and sort of number them in the way they want to do that. They do that sometimes to get better information that they need, okay? So the block group is the smallest geographic unit that you can get ACS data for, okay? And once again, summary level is 150, and that's for you GIS people who may be listing. Sometimes you need a summary level when you download information to figure out, what are you looking at? Okay, census tract is outlined here in red, and then notice how the block group nests within the tract, the block within that. Census tracts are, first came on to the scene 1930, 1940, and they've gone nationwide starting in the 60s and 70s. They're relatively permanent. But they don't necessarily nest within cities and places, and they are created for presenting statistics. So we want them to be pretty permanent over time, so you can go back through time and compare your statistics. Also, they do follow those visible boundaries, usually, sometimes non-visible boundaries, like maybe county boundary. The average population is 4,000, and the 4,000 is usually the number we need to get a good reading on an area for ACS. Sorry, this is on autopilot here. I have the backup there. So about 4,000 people in a census tract. We like that many people to get a good ACS statistical reading. Sometimes if it's a little bit less or more, it's equal anyway. So I the other thing about a tract is you can compare one tract on the East Coast compared to one on the West Coast, and they all have about 4,000 people in them. And you can, you're a realtor, maybe you can compare one area to another. Summary level, 100 is 140. And let me just go on here. Okay, so I'm going to go on to this. So now I've drawn this dotted or dashed line, and this represents a zip code tabulation area. Zip code tabulation area, not exactly a zip code. It means it's constructed from a census block. We do it once a decade. And if you had a block that was delivered on one side of the block from one zip code and another side of the block from another zip code, we take the population for the predominant zip code for that block, and we give the whole block to that zip code. And that's how we construct our ZICTAs, okay? The populations vary widely. I do want to say that. And so I don't, oops, let me just go back, sorry. I do want to say, be careful. You may have a very low populated zip code tabulation area, and you're going to have a high margin of error, and it might not be the data that you want to look at in ACS. If you're looking at it in Decennial, you're good. It's a 100% count. You don't have to worry. Summary level for zip code tabulation area, 860. So let me go on. We're going to look at this. Where you live is tabulated in multiple geographies. So we'll just say this is Joe's house. Okay, you see this little black square here. I'm going to say that's where Joe lives. Okay, and Joe is, notice he's in this block, and he's also in this block group and in this tract, but he is also in this zip code tabulation area. And here's another line, the green line, and this is a city, our town over here, our village, whatever you want to call it. And notice that he's in different things. He's getting his zip code from over here to on the right, but he actually lives in the city that's over on the left, or the town that's over on the left. So I'm putting this in here because so many people ask me this all the time. Well, what happens if I'm in this zip code, but it's not my town? How will I get counted in the town? We know where the addresses are, and they can be counted in multiple geographies. So they can be counted in one zip code tabulation area and another town somewhere else, and maybe another congressional district over there. Joe, gets counted in all of those, and his data gets aggregated to all those different geographies. Okay, let me move on here to census tract. Census tracts get a number. We want those numbers to stay the same, but they could be divided or consolidated as needed. If population grows, we will begin splitting the tract. So here we go, we split that tract, and then maybe we split it again, and it will look like this. So tract 125 becomes tract 125.02, tract 125.01. And that's just so you know where it came from. It's kind of like an amoeba. It grew, but you see the 125 in there, and you know that back in time, it used to be tract 125. Okay, so I went a little bit out of order here, but I just want you to get these concepts before we go looking at the data in data.census.gov. This is what that page will look like. Sometimes we like to call it Explore Census Data. And this is the URL up here, data.census.gov. The key to this is advanced search right here, if you can see where I'm scrolling with my cursor. And then we have data going back to the year 2000 here. So it is our main data portal. And it is multiple surveys. It is not just ACS or Decennial. It is we have other surveys that are in there as well. And we are constantly upgrading it and trying to put more information in there. So let me just move on. This is my contact information. This is census.askdata@census.gov, so I could be away on vacation, but we have people manning an email account and a phone. We do answer the phone, and you could send us with your question, or maybe you want a data training for your group, and you could contact us that way, and then they'll get that information to us. Or, I cover New Jersey and Connecticut. If you want to contact me directly, you are welcome to do that. And so let me go ahead. I'm going to move. We'll come back to this. Thank you. Or well, let me just ask, any questions so far?
None at the moment, David.
Okay. All right. I'm going to say maybe that's good. I'm not sure. All right. So I will come down here and I'm going to come over here. So can you see my screen? Somebody tell me explore census data.
We can see it.
Great. Okay. So we're going to do a couple things. Like I said, the main thing to do here is to go to advanced search. But before I do that, I want to show you, this is a little bit new on this website. There's a little teardrop right here, inverted teardrop, and you click on that and you could put in an address, okay? And so I will put in an address. And down here, you don't even need a city, you just need a zip code. Okay, and if it is in our database, it comes up. So I clicked on it, it blanked out, but it didn't blank out. You just get rid of this pop-up, exit out like that. And here's all the census data here. Okay, so for this address, it's letting you know that it's in the state of New Jersey, Essex County, New Jersey, South Orange Village, block 2008, census tract 193, block group 2. And these are the things we're going to be looking at today to better understand the information. And then it gives you some of the other geographic breakouts that are down here. So like I said before, Joe lived in that house. He's not just aggregated to one geography, he's aggregated to all these geographies. And one thing I forgot to say is if you're that where Joe lived, if an aggregation changes, okay, let's say somebody suddenly incorporates a town there and there was no town before, and the Census Bureau is constructing, 5-year data for it, it will go back in time. So they'll go back from the 4 previous years and they'll incorporate that, even though at that time Joe wasn't in a newly incorporated town. So it's actually not just the multiple geographies that are present, but also multiple geographies if they're changing over time. So this is just how you get there. That was that little teardrop thing. And if you want to go back to square one and start, you just click up here on the upper left where my cursor is. There is the logo, and we're back to this page. And so this is what I love to tell people: go to advanced search, and you come to advanced search, and over here on the left are your filters. Otherwise, it looks as if there's not much happening here. So the filters come open. I tend to come over here and click on each one and close it so that you see what the filters look like. And the two things that I will sort of push you to do when you're looking for data is to use the year and the geography. I know Crystal at the beginning said maybe if you want to open another monitor, but I may be going a little bit fast. I don't know if you could follow along on your monitor, but you're welcome to give it a shot if you want to. So the first thing I'm going to do is, look for 2020 block data. Okay, so decennial was in 2020. It was not 2021, 22, or 19. It's only in 2020. So I click on that, and I'm now starting to narrow down my filters. And I come up here, I open geographies, and I will scroll down. Here is the block. So this is my unit of analysis that I want, it's block. And now what I need to do, remember that hierarchy I talked about? We were at the nation level, now we're going to state and working our way down. So I come down here and I say, I need New Jersey. I click on New Jersey and I know it's in Essex County. And now I need to find the tract that this block is in. So I say, okay, I know it's tract 193. I could scroll through all of these and try to find it, or I could just put in the number up here, 193, and it finds it for me. So there it is, census tract 193. Now here we have all these block groups, right? And so I'm looking for within block group 2008. Actually, let me just put the block number here and see if we get it. 2008. There it is. Block 2008, block group 2, Census Tract 193, Essex County, New Jersey. That's a lot we went through in that hierarchy. And so now we get this sort of information. We've started to narrow it down. We could come and look at the survey information or topics if we wanted to. Let's just look at surveys. It only offers us decennial, okay? So it knows, because I went down to the block level, all it can give me is decennial. So I say, okay, I'm going to I can do two things. I can come up to the top and click on tables if I want to, or the very lower right down here, it says search. You can do either way. So I'll just click on, I will click on search, and these are the tables that are offered to me from Decennial. Okay, and look, it says 2 products are right here. Let's just see what those 2 products are. It's giving me redistricting information or this other demographic and housing characteristics. So I say, okay, well, show me that. So you're kind of window shopping here. Oh, I don't want that. Okay, I want something more robust here. So it does, the mechanism does want you to window shop a little bit and to look through this information and see if it's what you want. So here we have, this is the block that I live in, actually. So here we have population of one race. We have 40, total 48 people, then 42 of one race. We have this many people who are white, and then this many people who are Asian alone. And then as we go down, we have a race here, and then we have people who are multiple races down below. So you can look at this. Once again, this is from the 2020 census. And this is how you get down to the block information, okay? Remember, there's no ACS data here. Let me go back. You can go back to the left, click on filters, and then it brings you back to where you were before, okay? And you can continue filtering if you want to do that. So I do have these filters right here. Notice there's 141. So I have 141 results. If I want to filter even more, I could potentially come here to topics and say, okay, I just need information about, let's see what happens, race and ethnicity. I'm just looking for, you know, I don't know what I'm going to say here. So just race and ethnicity right there. And it sort of whittled it down a little bit. I can continue going over here if I wanted Hispanic and Latino. Let's just click on that. Okay, so it narrowed it down. So you can continue narrowing this down if you wanted to do that. So this is block information from Decennial. All right, so let me go back up here to the logo, and I'm going to start all over again so you get the feeling for what's happening here. So census, I'm back here, I go to advanced search, I come back here, and I'm coming down, and I'm going to say, okay, now I want 20, I lost it, here it is, 2020, there's 2020 information right there. And I'm coming here and I want you to see something that changes. Okay, so here we have block group. It's right here, so I say block group. And what block group? I wrote it down, block group 2. Okay, so I'm going here to New Jersey. It's all right, there's no test on this. I'm not going to ask you this later. Essex County, there it is. I'm in tract 193, 193. There it is. And we want block group 2. Okay, one thing you should notice is the first number, or the block group number, is the first digit in the block number. Okay, so just keep that in mind. They sort of share a number. All right, and then I'm going to come down here. I'm just going to say search for everything. Give me everything it's got. So I'll just click on that. I don't narrow it down. Wow, look at that. Right here, if you can see my cursor, 503 data sets. So what has happened here? Okay, what has happened is we're getting the short number table, decennial census, commingled with American Community Survey. So this is the first geographic level you can get American Community Survey at. Okay, so here's, and these are usually going to be these B tables, which means they are hard, I don't want to say they're hard count, but they're count tables. There's no percentages. So let's just see what a table looks like. I'll click on that and I will move this over to the left. So it's a little bit similar to what we would see In the decennial, you know, it's males versus females. You get a number. But notice this is what has changed for you when we move over to ACS. You are getting a margin of error. Okay, so it's this number. You know, we're pretty certain about this number, but it could be, you know, 199 above or 199 below that, you know. So it does fluctuate. You may want to pay attention to your margins of error and ask yourself, do I want it or do I not want it? Okay. Sorry, let me close this a little bit. Okay, so notice this, 503 results. I'm getting a mixture of decennial and ACS. And so this is where you can start parsing down a little bit more. So I have, in my filters, I have the year, I have the geography, right? But I can now come down here and under topics, I can start looking for things that I may not have done before, or I can just rule out as well. Say, I don't want decennial, I just want American Community Survey. So you can do whatever you want to do. You can parse it down that way, or you can simply come here and say, okay, I want information about, we'll just say income and poverty. I'll come here and I say, give it all to me. I click in the little box. And so now we're down to 85 results. It is all from the American Community Survey. And let's just click on one of these and have a look at it. So poverty state, oh, by the way, the system will try to outguess you and give you the latest, greatest thing that it thinks you want and push it to the top. So since it's doing that for me, I say, let me take it. I'll take it. Okay, so we have income in the past 12 months. Below the poverty level is telling you how many, I guess, housing units. I don't know if it's people or housing units, families. Okay. So it gives you some information as you go through here. Income past 12 months at or above poverty level, 199. So notice the total, I think it said it was families in this block group, 208. If you don't want that, you come back over to the left, click on results, and you have all these things you can go through and you can look at them and you can grab them and you can sort of compare the tables. Let me go back to this table really quickly. When you're here, see my cursor over here on the right, you can go to more tools and you can download it. So you can download it into Excel or CSV or zip. If you're a GIS person, I recommend you do it by zip to get those geocodes. So you can do all that for that information. All right. So let me go back again. I like to show you this over and over again. Sorry about that. Actually, we won't do that. Okay, I'll go to filters. I won't drill down the whole way. Look at something else you can do before I go out of this block group. So I had 2020 data there before, income poverty, block group 2. Now let me get rid of the year. Okay, and when I come back over here, all right, and I look at this, the same table, look at this underneath. It's giving me the data for 2023, 2022, 2021, and it's 5-year data. And it's doing that. I just clicked on the latest one because I got rid of the year in the filter. Okay, so you can do that as well. Okay, I will go back to filters and I'm here, income and poverty. Yeah, I really want to clear it out. I could go back up here to the logo and clear it out, or I could just do it right here. I can just get rid of those filters if I want to, just clear all the filters. Clear, there. Okay, so we're back to square one. Okay, so we worked on block, we looked on block group, and let me show you tracks to look at. Okay, so we're going to come down here. Once again, I'd like to take the year. So if I took 2020 as my base year, I am no longer going to get any sort of, well, I'll still get the decennial data, okay? But if I took 2020 for my ACS data, that's probably old now. So I want to come back up here to 2023, which is the latest year that we released data for so far. Okay, 2023, I'll come here to census tract and I'm going to drill down. And remember, it's New Jersey, Essex County, tract 193. Okay, and there it is. Okay, and so now we have all this sort of, I'll call it rich information that's over here. We have 1,021 results, okay, because I only put year and geography in there, but I can sort of break this down by topic if I want to, or if you come down here to American Community Survey, it will break it out by survey and type of estimate and type of table. So you need to kind of be aware of these tables, okay? Some data profile, those are great tables. They are the Walmarts of tables. They are big tables. There are not a lot of them, but they have a lot of information, okay? So you can just look at anything here, GPO2, social characteristics. Let's just look at that. This is one tract. I want you to see the table. You get all this information. You get a number count. Excuse me. And you also get that margin of error. You can manipulate things right here on screen, but you also get percentages, and percentages can be really nice, especially if you want to map things in a geographic sense, okay? And so here we have this one table. You can download it as a huge table. If that's not what you want, you just go back to results and you're still window shopping right here, and you can sort of flip through the tables if you want to. And you can look to see, is that the sort of information that I want? Does it have what I want? Okay, it's for census tract, but let me show you something else. So previously, I'm going to leave this in here, 5-year estimates, data profiles, 2023, and I had taken 193 as my census tract, okay? But I want to add to that, okay? So I can come down here, you can do this at the beginning or you can do it now. Let's see if this works. Sometimes it does not work for me. New Jersey, so I'm adding on to what I did before. Essex County, get rid of 193, maybe just put in 19, and let's see what we get. Okay, here we have, I'm going to take these tracks, 190, 191, 192, 193, 194. I'm adding to this. So I took all these census tracts. Okay, so you can certainly do that. They're all next to each other. I'm going to go in here, social characteristics or economic characteristics, whatever you take. I'll take the economic characteristics. You can use these little arrows here. If you see my cursor in the middle, circling around, if you click on the two little left pointing arrows, it will close that, it will open the table. And this is not just about one census tract. These are all those census tracts. It's a huge table now. And you can download the table if you want to, the way I showed you. Click up here on the upper right, ... more tools. I click there. You have Excel, CSV, Zip if you want those. And the other thing you can do is just come up to the top and click on your URL up here. You can right click, you can copy it, and you can paste it into something, and it will, if you click on it tomorrow, it will bring you back to the table you've constructed. Okay, so let's look at this. All these topics over here, all these variables that are in this table, I just want you to see it. And so commuting, this is a new thing. How many people worked from home? Here it is. Okay, the number of people and the percentage in that census tract. So remember, I talked about census tracts are all kind of equal in population. They hover around 4,000, you know, a little bit below, a little bit above, but you can get good statistics that way. And so I just want you to see how you can map this. You can come up to the upper right where it says more tools. You click on that, come down, down, down. Right here it says to the, if you can see where my cursor is, it says map. I click on that and we'll start constructing a map of all those census tracts that I selected. This is a choropleth map. It's intuitive by color, but it's just choosing the first variable. So now you have control over your map. If you can see where my cursor is, I'm hovering around the little down arrow right here in the middle, right under the word maps. I click on that and you say, I want to map a percentage. I want to map a number, whatever you want to do. So I say percentage, and I come down here and I want to see the percentage of people who worked from home. And so here it is. It offers me that ability. You can only offer, you can only map one variable at a time. And so for this area of Essex County, New Jersey, you can see where more people higher percentages of people work from home. And down here's a little legend if you want to look at that, and you can see what those percentages are. So this is just something you could do. Once again, there is a URL at the top. You can click on it, copy it, and paste it, and then you're good to go. Okay. So let me just go back over here. I'll go all the way back to right here. I'm going to click on the census logo. It clears out the whole thing. And what do you say to yourself? It's like, oh no, I didn't mean to do that. It's okay if you did that, because up here, just next to your URL is a back arrow. If you click back, it brings you back to your map. Okay, so you're good. Don't worry, you won't have lost it. Okay, but I come back here just to show you repetitively what to do. Advanced search, you come here, we are going to come down here, select our year, 2023, and here's where we are going to diverge a little bit. So I'm going to look for this zip code tabulation area, and I had told you that these are built on a national level. Okay, so here it is, all 5-digit zip code tab areas in the US, but this system is sort of letting you truncate it a little bit. So look, watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to come here to New Jersey, and it gives me all the zip code tabulation areas in New Jersey. But look at this up here. It says within other geographies. I say clip it. It's not exactly that, but I'm going to do it by county. So here's county, and so I'm not going to take Essex County. I'm going to take Morris County, New Jersey. And this is what it says: all 5-digit zip code tabulation areas fully or partially within Morris County. So we aren't going to clip something and give you only half the container of data. We give you the whole thing. So I click on this, and okay, so that's up here in my browser, and I need to select, well, maybe I won't select any data. Maybe I better. Okay. Income and poverty, I will just select, everybody always wants to know this income, so whatever. Income, household incomes, and income and earnings, I'll just say that. Search, let's see what we get. We get a table up here, an S table. I'll just click on the table. Just want you to see what's happening here. So here we have all this data. It is all these zip code tabulation areas, partially or fully within Morris County. And I think we'll get like maybe the median income, we'll map it. I want you to see what happens though. Up here at the upper right, here's my cursor. I click on more tools. I come down here to map. I map it, and I want you to see Morris County. These are, look at all these zip code tabulation areas. What a conundrum, you know, what a mess. There's a little button up here to the upper right. It says boundaries, an icon. I click on that. I say, turn on my county boundary. Okay. And once again, I could map this by, we don't need to map it by anything, but I'll just put it in here. That's a number, the median household income. I did it that way. But this is what I want you to see. I'm zooming into this. I hope you can see this. These are the count. This is the county boundary. It's in gray, right? If I can do this. I hope you can see that. It's right here. So look at this. This postal code, this zip code is partially within Morris County, which is up here. So it selects the whole thing. This postal code comes all the way around, and somewhere over here, right here, it goes into Morris County. So the whole thing gets selected, whether it's fully in Morris County or not. And then let me just zoom in a little bit more if you can see this. Look at this postal code right here, 07934. Only, it looks as if only a tiny bit of it is within Morris County, which is up here, but it does, you know, select the whole thing for you. So I want you to just be aware of that, but you certainly can do this if you were, this is one of the downfalls of this. Also, zip codes, some of them, they vary widely in population. So pay attention to your margins of error, okay? So I'm going to come back up here, and I'm going to go out of data.census.gov. I will come here. This is our main website. I just want people to see this. So if I come here to topics, right here, I hover over topics and I come down, there's a little thing there that's a geography. And when we come down here, if you are a person who's looking for a GIS person, this might be the place where you want to go. You can get your mapping files here. So your Tiger Line shape files, that's, I think we're famous or infamous for those. But cartographic boundary files, if you already have your base map and you're mapping things and you just need something to pop our data into, I recommend the cartographic boundary files. They're lower in memory and they're easier to use. If you're a fan of geodatabases, you can grab it here. You have less control over the data that you want or that you're going to get. And also sometimes these come out many months after the fact. You'll get the data quicker if you just download the cartographic boundary file and grab the data on its own. Reference maps down here, we do have these sorts of things. And I want to go a little bit further. For some areas, usually where geographies have changed, you can get relationship files. The gazetteer files are down here. They look a little bit like an API. You can grab all sorts of information in a tally. And I'll just open that so you see what a tally looks like. You can get it by state or county. This is for the whole United States. It's just sort of telling you how many of what are in your geography. And sometimes that could be quite useful for you. You know, just it depends on what you're working on. Okay. Let me do one really quickly. So we'll just that geographic entities by, let's say by state. Yeah, we'll do it like that. And if I just select a state, let's see if it works. All right, open down here and we'll say Delaware, and let's just see if we get anything for Delaware. If it pops up, maybe it's not. Oops, come on, Delaware. Yeah, I think it's a little bit slow sometimes. There it is. If you can see that, somebody, I think you can see it. So it just sort of tells you what's going on in Delaware, how many of what are there, and maybe even things you never even knew you could get. You know, like how many point landmarks are in our system, or, you know, this sort of thing. So it's all here, and it's actually parsed out by county as well. So I am at the end of my presentation, and I would like to know, are there any questions?
Hi, yes, we do have several questions here.
Uh-huh.
The first I have for you is, if you're mapping within ChatGPT, which boundary files do you suggest pulling for thematic mapping purposes?
So I don't know how to map through ChatGPT, but if you're doing thematic maps, okay, that depends on how granular you are. If you're within a county or within a state, I tend to recommend census tract. Okay, if you're doing a map of the whole nation or like half the nation, that's when you may want to go to state or county. But in general, my personal preference is to do it by tract, especially a more granular. I tend to shy away from block group and blocks.
Okay. The next question I have here is just to verify what you said earlier. There are no updates to the geography of Zictos between the decennials.
So I think I'm gonna plead the Fifth Amendment or something here. So that's the way it used to be. It's possible that they have changed the way that they do that with the Zictas, but traditionally we have done it every 10 years. We've gone in and done that, but it is possible because some things are changing as technology advances that they can do things quicker. So I'm going to say I don't have an answer on that. I'm sorry I said that before. I shouldn't have said that, but traditionally we've done it every 10 years, but it may be that we've changed that a little bit.
Okay. And actually, I did put a link in the chat to our concepts and definitions page that does have more information on some of the boundary changes that will get a little bit deeper into that topic. Let's see. The other question I had here was, who changes the census blocks in other geographies? And is that also on that page, or?
You know, that's thank you for asking that question. So the blocks are based on what's actually there on the ground. Okay, so the roads or whatever, every 10 years before a census, we do an update and we renumber the blocks because there are just more. There are more housing developments and things of that sort. Okay, so that's almost, I'm going to say almost an algorithm that does that. If I can say it that way, I'll say an algorithm in conjunction with the Census Bureau itself. The block groups are done by the Census Bureau in conjunction, usually with a county or city planner, and they get the option of manipulating the block groups as they want to. And the census tracts are meant to be very stable over time, so we don't really like to change them or move them around. We don't even change them for city boundaries. But places increase in population, we like to have an average of about, I'll say about 4,000 people in a census tract. And so if we think there's going to be a swell in population, even if there isn't, we sort of go back to the county planners before a decennial census, and we work with them, or it could be a city planner as well, and we work with them and say, look, is there anything here that looks like it needs attention? Do we need to change things? And I'm not going to say that they have the ultimate say so, because the Census Bureau may get into a little bit of a give and take method with them and say you can or you can't do that. So okay, and yes, I think I answered all. Block group, tract.
Okay, thank you. I have a question here about if somebody wanted to connect the census data to a small geography units, such as voting areas or within a city or county, are there easy, straightforward ways to programs to do that?
You can get the voting district information in data.census.gov, the Explore Census Data portal that I showed before. The data is there. It is broken out by those geographic entities. It is not part of this today. Maybe I should have put that in there. But you're welcome to reach out to me and I can help you, or you can reach out to another data dissemination specialist, and we will help you find that. I think my email's on the slideshow anyway, so but I can help you find that information if you want. But we do have it, yes.
Okay, we have time for another couple of questions. Can you cross-tabulate variables such as sex and income within regions?
So what I showed you today is coming from, for small geographies, you're going to have to take the data that we have cross-tabulated in the tables. Okay, so they are in the tables already. You can't do the cross-tabulation yourself from the data that you download from us. Now, if you download our data and you have your own data and you want to do your own cross-tabulation, you are certainly welcome to do that and apply it however you see fit. But we don't have a mechanism in there for small geographies for you to do the cross-tabulation. And I say small geographies because you have a whole nother, I think it's state and PUMA geographies, which is huge. We do have a mechanism where you can go in there and you actually can do your own cross-tabulation.
Okay, and I have a question about margin of errors. What would you define as a reasonable margin of error? That many of the margin of error statistics are very high in the census tract examples.
Yeah, that is, since I'm not a statistician, I can't tell you what to do or not to do. But my own personal, I'm going to say this is my personal rule of thumb, maybe not the Census Bureau. If the margin of error number is larger than the estimate, I'd hesitate.
Okay, I have a question here. I believe you shared that the locality within a population under 65,000 must use the 5-year data. Is that 5-year data updated every year, but aggregates the past 5 years? or two, it's just data from a single year compiled once every 5 years?
Okay, that's a good question. Yes, so the data is released every year in December, and it is aggregated for the previous 5 years. So there would be data, for example, in 2021. It's for 2021 in the previous 4 years. The 2022 data is for 2022 in the previous 4 years, and so forth and so forth. And so there's always 4 years of overlap, 4 years overlap of data collection. And so some people are not comfortable with that. They feel that there's some redundancy there, and they may decide only to pull that data once every 5 years. And I have other municipalities that I know that split the difference, and they may pull the data every 2 years or 3 years and say, well, there's not total overlap in data collection. So that is up to you, the way you want to do that. Yeah, that's how, I hope I answered that question.
Terrific. Thanks, David. That's it on the questions for now.
That's okay. That's it on the question. Anything else there? Anybody want me to? Did I miss anything?
No, you were good. Thank you, David.
Okay.
And thank you, Judy. Before we conclude, I'd like to thank everyone who played a role in today's webinar. We thank you, our audience, for spending your time with us this afternoon. And we are very interested in hearing from you on how we are doing. So please take a moment to fill out the evaluation that will appear when you exit the webinar. That brings us to a close. We thank you again for joining us today and hope you have a great afternoon.
This concludes today's webinar. Thank you for your participation. You may disconnect at this time.